continue our study. Today we're doing chapters 11 to 14 of Job, which are titled "And the Hypocrite." The conversation between Job and his friends continue as to why the things are happening to him. Reading from chapter 11 verse 1, Zophar speaks, "You deserve worse," is his view. Verse 1, "Then answered Zophar the Naamathite and said, Should not the multitude of words be answered? And should a man full of talk be justified? Should thy lies make men hold their peace? And when thou mockest, shall no man make thee ashamed? For thou hast said, My doctrine is pure, and I am clean in thine eyes. But oh, that God would speak and open his lips against thee, and that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom, that they are double to that which is. Know therefore that God exalteth of thee less than thine iniquity deserve." Jump into verse 12, which is Job's reply. Verse 1, "And Job answered and said, No doubt, but you are the people, and wisdom shall die with you. But I have understanding as well as you. I am not inferior to you, yea, who knoweth not such things as these? I am as one mocked of his neighbour, who calleth upon God, and he answereth him. The just, upright man is laughed to scorn." Jump into verse 9. "Who knoweth not in all these that the hand of Yahweh hath brought this? In whose hand is the soul of every living thing, and the breath of all mankind?" Verse 14. "Behold, he breaketh down, and it cannot be built again. He shutteth up a man, and there can be no opening. Behold, he withholdeth the waters, and they dry up. Also he sendeth them out, and they overturn the earth. With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. He leadeth counsellors away spoiled, and maketh the judges fools." And it continues. So here Job gives examples of God's omnipotent power as the time he shut Noah in the ark, and not even the devil would have been able to harm Noah in Genesis chapter 7:16. Jump into a sample of chapter 13. Job continues, "Still I will hope in God." Read from verse 1. "Lo, my eye hath seen all this, my ear hath heard and understood it. What you know, the same do I know also. I am not inferior unto you. Surely I would speak to the Almighty, and I desire to reason with God. But you are forgers of lies. You are all physicians of no value. Oh, that you would altogether hold your peace, and it should be your wisdom." Verse 14. "Wherefore do I take my flesh in my teeth, and put my life in my hand? Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. But I will maintain mine own ways before him. He also shall be my salvation, for an hypocrite shall not come before him." Verse 23. "How many are my iniquities and sins? Make me to know my transgression and my sin." A psalm that accompanies what Job says in verse 4 is Proverbs 17:28. "Even a fool, when he holdeth his peace, is counted wise, and he that shutteth his lips is esteemed a man of understanding." Job's faith is as strong as Daniel's colleagues in Daniel 3:16, which says, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God who we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up." Verse 16 of what we just read, so it says, "For a hypocrite shall not come before him," reminds me of those in Matthew chapter 7:21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that do iniquity. When Jesus said that verse, the never meant never, which means not even at their baptism or all the weeks they went to church, thinking that they are doing God's work or worshipping him and paying their tithes. He never knew them. John says we are to be born of uncorruptible seed, not corruptible. So many seekers today are born in corruptible seeds, or corrupted denominations. So we should watch what denomination we're born into or attend, and maybe, as it says in Revelations, come out of them, my people. So how do we know a corrupted denomination? The law says, keep God's commandments and do not sin. The hypocritical person said they did keep all of God's commandments, yet they say this whilst they are sinning. In other words, transgressing God's law, as it says in 1 John chapters 3-4. Saying they kept the fourth, for example, commandment, Sabbath, and those of Leviticus 23, which is part of God's law. Yet did it on the first day rather than on the written seventh day. They think when they keep all a man's annual holidays rather than his commanded holy days, that they are keeping God's law. Verse 23, Job asks for his accusers to point out his errors and sin. Studies as we do point out seekers' failure to keep certain commandments, yet they hypocritically continue in the same error, claiming the Holy Spirit or their relationship with God has directed them to continue that sin, i.e. that God has nailed his commandments to the cross. Okay, let's continue chapter 4. The sample of chapter 14. Job continues. Death comes soon to all. Reading from verse 1. Man that is born of a woman is of few days, and full of trouble. He cometh forth like a flower, and is cut down. He fleeth also as a shadow, and continueth not. And does that open thine eyes upon such an one, and bringest me into judgment with thee? Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bonds, that he cannot pass. That was verse 5. I'm going to jump onto chapter 14, verse 10. But man dieth and wasteth away. Yea, man giveth up the ghost, and where is he? As the waters fail from the sea, and the flood decayeth and drieth up, so man lieth down, ariseth not again, till the heavens be no more. They shall not awake, nor be raised out of their sleep. O that thou wouldest hide me in the grave, that thou wouldest keep me secret until thy wrath be past, that thou wouldest appoint me a set time and remember me. If a man die, shall he live again? All the days of my appointed time will I wait, till my change come. So in verse 5, God has appointed the bounds that a sinner cannot get into the new heaven and earth. They cannot pass the gate to enter unless they have the right to enter. Revelation 22:14 reads, Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have a right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. Talking about heavenly city. So verses 10 to 14, when we die, the first death is sleep of God. Remember, Yeshua called it sleep, and the apostles called it the death. We remain in the grave until the day of the Lord, which is his judgment day, has passed. There are no human reincarnations, going to heaven and returning, nor into purgatory, as some denominations teach. all remain in the grave until the change of the resurrection, or heaven and earth has passed, or the heavens has passed, as it says. Then after this change, the resurrection, then some will go on to the second death, which is the real last death, as Revelation says, and the righteous to everlasting life. We read this in Revelation chapters 20, verse 12, which says, "And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life, and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works." And yet we are taught, or people teach, it's not by works, by faith. Revelation 20:14, "And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire." Now there's a study, I'm not sure it's one of the studies or articles, on the website at www.forwardtoyahweh.com, Yahweh, YAHWEH, which deals with how to be in the book of life. I think it's called cut off, blot out, because God always says he will cut off people and he will blot them out of the book. So have a read of cut off, blot out on www.forward, FORWARD, to Yahweh, YAHWEH.com. Until tomorrow's study, shalom, God willing, we meet tomorrow.